Exactly. All right, JD, we got to pick some games while you're here because so we have a Thursday night show that is going to run before the Thursday night games hit your television screen. But a lot of our folks listen in podcast form the next morning. So those people will hear my reaction to Florida, Utah, and Nebraska, Minnesota. So they'll hear what the score of the game was and who won before they hear the pick. So this doesn't make any sense to pick those games on that show. So we're going to pick them right now. And this Florida Utah game for me is very interesting. And you know, the Florida folks historically will tell you that I'm pretty hard on my alma mater. And usually kind of have a little bit of doubt going in about them. I'm going to pick them. Not just to cover, but to win outright in this game. I think, one, I'm using common sense on the Cam Rising thing. I think if you are Utah and you want to win a third consecutive Pac-12 title and you have a quarterback who uses his legs quite a bit in the way he plays, who's coming off ACL surgery, and you're not quite sure that you exercise some caution there and try to have him completely ready to play the conference schedule. So I'm guessing they see Bryson Barnes. That doesn't mean Utah's going to lose the game, but if you're going to give me almost a touchdown, if you're going to give me 6.5 points, I'm probably going to take those.
Even if you get Cam Rising in this game, even if he's healthy, to your point, Andy, the legs are a big part of what he does. So if you get a limited Cam Rising, you got Austin Armstrong, who's probably going to dial up some pressure.
He did it to Florida in the spring game.
Florida, he was dying. Yeah, I mean, Graham Mertz and Jack Miller just had a horrific afternoon from like time-wise. Like they had a very bad time playing against their own defense in that spring game, and the scoreboard kind of reflected it. But no, I mean, I think we're actually aligned here, which I don't think there's many people picking Florida in this game, Andy, but I'm going the exact same way. I think the run game of Florida is the difference maker. I don't know why Trevor Etienne and Montrell Johnson aren't getting talked about more nationally. They both averaged over 5 yards a carry last year. I know Graham Mertz isn't going to, necessarily be like, CJ Stroud for Ohio State, where he was last year. He may not light it up, but if he can be, like we talked about with LSU's corners, if they can just be timely, if he can keep the box honest even a little bit, I really like what they have in that run game, and I think they're going to be able to win that game in Salt Lake.
I think the concern with Etienne and Johnson isn't about them. They're clearly very talented. It's about what Florida's offensive line is going to look like, and it's kind of up to Austin Barber and Micah Mazuka. Sounds like he's ready to go. That's the Baylor transfer who had a shoulder injury in the spring, and it was doubtful whether he'd be back, but it sounds like he's going to be ready to go. So I think a lot of it depends on how that group performs. But it's interesting because, you might be the only other person I've talked to who feels this way. I think everybody else is on Utah. Maybe we're both just completely nuts, but it feels like that Florida can steal this one, which is exactly what they did last year. They stole a win from Utah. If they played that game 3 games later and there's 3 games of tape on Anthony Richardson, Utah probably wins. So we'll see if they can come in and steal another one. First, I want to tell you about Bird Dogs. My first taste of the combo lifestyle came with workout shorts. You want that spandex liner that makes sure everything stays where it needs to be when you're doing your squats, when you're running, when you're jogging, when you're benching. But why not extend that to the rest of your life? Why not live the combo lifestyle everywhere you go? And that's where Bird Dogs comes in. If I'm working out, I can wear my tight wads. If I want to go to the restaurant, to the golf course, you name it, Indianapolis Jones is right here. If I want to go somewhere where I need to be respectable, where I need to wear pants, I'm wearing my Steven Jobses. And by the way, they are the best fitting, best looking chinos I've ever owned. Plus, they've got that liner in there to make sure everything is where it needs to be. And oh, by the way, I am never buying or washing underwear to wear with them because it's already in there. Bird Dogs helps you live your most efficient life. They've also got beautiful polos like the Fidel Bass Pro here. So go to birddogs.com/staples or use the promo code Staples. Get a free Hydro Flask style bottle with your order. Get some shorts, get some pants, get a polo. You will be living the combo lifestyle. You'll be living your most efficient life with Bird Dogs. It's birddogs.com/Staples, promo code Staples. Let us move to the Big Ten. Matt Rhule makes his debut coaching the Cornhuskers against Minnesota. Minnesota is a touchdown favorite. JD, I don't know how you picked this game because we don't know what Nebraska is.
Yeah. Ton of question marks around them, right? And Matt Rhule, I think the question isn't so much what they're going to be this year, but it's more so when he gets his guys in there, when he builds it up. Now, they did a lot through the portal. Jeff Sims is going to be the guy at quarterback for them. I'm going to go ahead and pick Minnesota just because of what you said, Andy. We know a little bit more about them. Now, they still have some question marks, too, with what they're going to be at quarterback and no more Muhammad Ibrahim and all that. But I think just from a how far along is your program standpoint, I like where Minnesota is compared to Nebraska. Nebraska's going to be good here long term. I even think Nebraska makes a bowl game this year, but I don't think they win this one. I don't think they win the opener.
So I think we know what Minnesota's going to be. Tough defense. They're going to control the ball. When their running game works, they can have an explosive passing game. Chris Ottman-Bell back for year number 94. I believe he was committed. Well, I know he was committed to PJ Fleck at Western Michigan. That's how old he is. You know what, though? I think I'm taking the Cornhuskers here. You're giving me a touchdown. Matt Rhule has had all this time to get them ready. They have tape on Minnesota. They're pretty sure they know what Minnesota is. Minnesota does not know what Nebraska is going to be. Because Matt Rhule is kind of a chameleon. He doesn't have this is my system, this is my style, this is on either side of the ball. So they're watching South Carolina tape from last year because that's where the OC was. Mm-hmm. They're watching all this different stuff. Give me Nebraska. Very similar in the way when I talked about Florida stealing the win against Utah last year because Utah didn't have tape on Billy Napier's offense and Anthony Richardson running it. Jeff Sims in this offense, they don't know what that looks like yet, and they're going to have to adjust to it. So, give me Nebraska at least to cover, but maybe to win outright.
I like them to cover a lot more than I like them to win. I will say that. I think Jeff Sims is fascinating, but I'm still picking Minnesota to win. But I do think Nebraska shows hey, there's something to work here. But interesting, taking them to win, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I just Rhule has a way of getting his teams up. He's said that this feels more like year 2 at Temple or Baylor than year 1 at either one of those schools. That suggests to me that he feels like he inherited some talent. We know that under Scott Frost, that talent wasn't always focused in the right direction. But now it is. All right, one more game. And this is one of those, how did this game get scheduled kind of games. NC State goes to UConn. UConn is a 14.5-point underdog at home. Always beware the home underdog on a Thursday night. He can bite.
Dog will bite you now. Those Huskies, they've been waiting for a minute now to have something to cheer for. Andy, I'm taking NC State, not just because I'm going to take them to win and to cover.
Yep.
I love the reuniting of Robert and the OC at NC State, getting his quarterback back from Virginia, Brennan Armstrong. I think it's going to be fireworks like a bad 8th grader on the 4th of July behind the middle school. I think that's the kind of situation we're looking at here. I think NC State with Brennan Armstrong, what he was at Virginia when they were together last, I mean, we were talking about him like maybe being a sneaky Heisman guy going into the 2022 season with, what he did in that 2021 campaign. So I think them getting back together, we always know Dave Doeren's going to have a solid defense. That's just kind of been his trademark at NC State. I think they win this game, and I think they win more than that 14.5-point margin.
This is the thing. They've got Peyton Wilson back. They've got a lot of really good players on that defense. I love what Jim Mora did at UConn. I think he got them playing very hard. I think he's upgraded their talent. I know they're going to be excited for this showcase game. That said, I'm with you. NC State wins and covers, and then get ready for a matchup between Notre Dame and the Wolfpack in Raleigh in week 2.
That's going to be a good one, man. Everyone's talking about Ohio State, Notre Dame. Like, we find out a lot about Notre Dame when they go to NC State. I think it's like a noon kick too, Andy. Kind of sleepy. You're walking in there after playing Tennessee State. I'm very excited for that one.
Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples On 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.